In this video, we're going to wire up a push-button switch, and then we're going to display on the serial monitor whether or not the switch has been pushed. Okay, so first thing we'll do is to build the circuit, and obviously we'll need a push-button switch. Notice how I've got that positioned on the breadboard, two legs on one side of the gap and the other two legs on the other side of the gap. All right, we'll need a pull-down resistor that I spoke about in the text, and that gets connected to one of the legs of the resistor, of the push-button switch rather, and that's going to be a 10 kilo ohm resistor. Okay, to wire this up, I'm going to take a wire from this leg of the switch and connect that to 5 volts on the Arduino. And then, since I've got this resistor connected to the negative rail, I can take any one of these holes and have a wire from there to one of the grounds on the Arduino. Okay, the last thing is we've got to have a wire from in between this resistor and this leg of the push button switch, and that has to go to whatever port we're going to use. I'll use 3. One of the digital ports. Okay, so that's all there is to wiring that up. Okay, so let's go to the code. Now the first thing is we've got to configure that port 3 as being an input port. So we'll type pin mode 3, input, all caps. And then, since we are going to be using the serial monitor, serial.begin 9600. Okay, that's all we'll need in the setup. Okay, now for the loop, first of all, we're going to be reading the status of that port 3. And when we do that, either there's going to be a 0 at port 3 if the button is not pushed, or there's going to be a 1 at port 3, 5 volts, if the button is pushed. So since it's either going to return a 0 or a 1, what I want to do is to take that value and I'll store it in a separate variable. And it'll be an integer since it's going to be either a whole number 0 or 1. And we'll call it status equals digital read 3. Okay, so again, if that button is pushed, then port 3 is going to be connected to 5 volts and it will return a 1. On the other hand, if the button is not pushed, then there'll be a 0 volts at port 3 and the digital read will return a 0. Okay, so now we're going to use an if statement. So we're going to say if, Boolean expression in parentheses, if status equals 1. Notice the double equals sign there. Close parentheses. Status equals 1. That means the button is pushed. So we're going to type serial.println, open quotes, the button is pushed. Okay, else serial dot print line button is not pushed. Okay, a couple of things to notice here. First of all, notice the position of the semicolon. The semicolon does not go after the Boolean expression. If it did, it would terminate that statement right there. It has to go after the statement to indicate that if this particular condition is true, that status equals 1, that this statement will be executed. Else, serial.println, the button is not pushed, and again, the semicolon goes after the statement, not after the else. Okay, again, the double equals sign in the Boolean expression, and on the other hand, the single equals sign up here when we're assigning the value that gets returned from the digital read to the variable status. Okay, let's try it out. Okay, down here you see the button is not push, not push, not push. Now, if I take my mouse button and I push down on that and hold it down, notice it changes to the button is pushed. If I release it, the button is not pushed. There's a little bit of a delay there that you won't see when you actually wire this up yourself, but the simulation does show that delay. Okay, try this out on your Arduino.